Hey everybody, it's Amanda with Faith Grows Deep. We're going to go through the Ruth 3 study. So I didn't dive too deep into it because I'm going to be reading from the NLT version today. So it's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. I did look up a few little items for it, so I will kind of mention that as we read. So starting chapter 3 of Ruth. One day, Naomi said to Ruth, "My daughter, it's time that I found a permanent home for you so that you will be provided for. Boaz is a close relative of ours, and he's been very kind by letting you gather grain with his young women. Tonight, he will be winnowing barley at the threshing floor." Pause. Okay. Winnowing is just the process of separating like heavier and lighter items like from the grain and stuff. You just kind of use wind and stuff to kind of blow that the heavier items would fall. And then the threshing floor is like a flat area where they would separate the chaff and the grain. So that's kind of what's going on here because they finished the barley harvest. Okay, so continuing. Now do as I tell you. Take a bath and put on perfume and dress in your nicest clothes. Then go to the threshing floor, but don't let Boaz see you until he has finished eating and drinking. Be sure to notice where he lies down. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down there. He will tell you what to do. Okay, I'm going to pause again. The process of that, or the purpose of uncovering his feet to lie down, it was meant to symbolize submission. Like none of that was in a sexual way, but it was just that submission and like that request to be protected and cared for, and especially being that he is a kinsman redeemer, which we talked about, I believe, in the last video for Ruth 2, because he fell in that. That is kind of going through like that symbolism that you're the kinsman redeemer. I am providing that submission for you to care and take over those things and to provide protection for me. So that's kind of what that is relating to, or that is the process of how that happened back then. So just kind of keep in mind that that is why that was happening. So we'll go ahead and continue. I will do everything you say, Ruth replied. So she went down to the threshing floor that night and followed the instructions of her mother-in-law. After Boaz had finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits, he lay down at the far end of the pile of grain and went to sleep. Then Ruth came quietly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. Around midnight, Boaz suddenly woke up and turned over. He was surprised to find a woman lying at his feet. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am your servant Ruth," she replied. "Spread the corner of your covering over me, for you are my family redeemer." "The Lord bless you, my daughter," Boaz exclaimed. "You are showing even more family loyalty now than you did before, for you have not gone after a younger man, whether rich or poor. Now don't worry about a thing, my daughter. I will do what is necessary, for everyone in town knows you are a virtuous woman. But while it's true that I am one of your family redeemers, there is another man who is more closely related to you than I am. Stay here tonight, and in the morning I will talk to him. If he is willing to redeem you, very well, let him marry you. But if he is not willing, then as surely as the Lord lives, I will redeem you myself. Now lie down here until morning." So Ruth lay at Boaz's feet until the morning. But she got up before it was light enough for people to recognize each other. For Boaz had said, "No one must know that a woman was here at the threshing floor." Then Boaz said to her, "Bring your cloak and spread it out." He measured 6 scoops of barley into the cloak and placed it under her back. Then he returned to the town. When Ruth went back to her mother-in-law, Naomi asked, "What happened, my daughter?" Ruth told Naomi everything Boaz had done for her, and she added, "He gave me these 6 scoops of barley and said, 'Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" Then Naomi said to her, "Just be patient, my daughter, until we hear what happens. The man won't rest until he has settled things today." So that's the end of the chapter there. So what we're seeing is in the previous 2 chapters, Ruth's loyalty and what's the word I'm looking for? Her dedication to Naomi, even after Naomi gave her that permission to leave and go back to her family and her gods, she chose to stay with Naomi and chose that their people and their God will now be hers. So she had that courage to let go of what her life was before to continue forth with Naomi and all of this. And then as they got into town, Ruth went to work in the fields to pick up the leftovers that were fallen out. And as Boaz had gone to check on his field, he had questioned, and he has been very kind and blessed them up to this point. So now, as we're seeing, Naomi is giving Ruth this advice on the family redeemer because her sons had died. So she is at the point now where she doesn't want Ruth to just continue to grow older and become an old widow, but for her to remarry, to have that family and everything like that. So Naomi's giving Ruth this advice because Boaz falls under one of the kinsman redeemers. So we're seeing this kind of laid out and what that symbolism is with her laying at his feet and everything. But Boaz, we see his character and his honesty and I guess his faith being very solid, to the point he even explains to Ruth that there is still another that's closer to be that kinsman redeemer. But if he doesn't want to redeem the family, then he said that he would. So that's what we're seeing here. And then so we're seeing a lot of Boaz's character and the type of man he is through this as well, not just Naomi. So anyway, that's kind of the end of that chapter. There is 1 chapter left, but that chapter looks like it's separated into 2 different topics, so that'll actually be 2 separate videos. So we will continue on next week going into verses, so Ruth 4 verses 1 through 12, and that'll be the next video. So we will go on into that. If you'd like to read ahead and kind of have an idea and comment or whatever, I would love to read what you have. What research like that you've done that you're understanding this as, or if something else stands out to you. As far as chapter 3, if you have anything that you would like to ask, if there's something you're not understanding, please let me know. I'd be happy to look further into that for you. If you're seeing something different in the characters of Ruth or Boaz, I'd be happy to hear that as well. But anyway, any questions or comments you have about it, I'd love to hear. So, anyway, so given that is chapter 3. And if you have anything going on, if you have prayer requests, anything, you can also email me at amanda@faithgrowsdeep.com. All right, anyway, have a good day. Bye.